Herman Melville was an American novelist, short story writer, and poet, best known for his classic novel Moby Dick. His life story is one of adventure, hardship, artistic struggle, and posthumous recognition as one of the greatest figures in American literature. Early life and background. Herman Melville was born on August 1, 1819, in New York City. He was the third of 8 children in a prosperous merchant family. His father, Allen Melville, the family later added an E to the surname, was a successful importer and dry goods merchant. The family lived in comfortable circumstances during Melville's early childhood, but their fortune would decline sharply due to business failures and Allen Melville's death. The elder Melville died in 1832 when Herman was just 12 years old, leaving the family in financial distress. This forced young Herman to leave school early and begin working to support his family. Despite these hardships, Melville maintained a keen interest in reading and storytelling, nurtured by his mother Maria and his exposure to literature during his school years. Youth and early sea experiences. From a young age, Melville was fascinated by the sea. He was captivated by tales of sailors, pirates, and explorers, which would later deeply influence his writing. At 18, he worked briefly as a bank clerk but soon left to seek adventure on the sea. In 1839, Melville embarked on his first voyage aboard a merchant ship headed for Liverpool, England. This experience marked the beginning of a lifelong connection to the sea. After returning to the United States, Melville took more adventurous sea jobs, including working on a whaling ship, the Acushnet, which sailed to the Pacific Ocean. His time on the Acushnet, where he witnessed the dangers and rigors of whaling life firsthand, would later serve as vital inspiration for his literary work. One notable episode occurred in 1842, when Melville deserted the Acushnet in the Marquesas Islands in the South Pacific. He spent several months living with the Typee tribe, a Polynesian people described by Melville as idyllic and free from the corruption of Western civilization. This experience became the basis for his first book, Typee, 1846, a semi-autobiographical travel narrative that brought him early fame. Literary career and major works. Following the success of Typee, Melville published Amu, 1847, a sequel based on his experiences in the South Seas. These early works were travel adventures that appealed to readers hungry for exotic tales, but Melville sought to move beyond simple adventure narratives. In 1849, Melville published Marty, a more complex and allegorical novel reflecting his growing interest in philosophical and existential themes. Though not as popular as his earlier works, Marty marked a turning point in Melville's literary style toward deeper, more symbolic writing. The pinnacle of Melville's literary career came with the publication of Moby Dick in 1851. This ambitious novel tells the story of Captain Ahab's obsessive pursuit of the white whale, Moby Dick. The novel is rich with symbolism, philosophical musings, detailed descriptions of whaling, and exploration of themes like revenge, fate, and the struggle between man and nature. Though now considered one of the greatest novels ever written, Moby Dick was a commercial failure at the time of publication, and its complexity baffled many readers and critics. Following Moby Dick, Melville wrote Pierre, 1852, another experimental and psychologically intense novel that met with critical and commercial disappointment. His subsequent novels Israel Potter, 1855, The Confidence Man, 1857, and Billy Budd, written in the 1880s but published posthumously, explored a range of themes but never achieved widespread popularity during his lifetime. Personal life and later years. In 1847, Melville married Elizabeth Shaw, the daughter of a wealthy Boston family. They had 4 children together. Despite financial struggles, Melville tried to provide for his family through writing, but the lack of consistent success forced him to take other jobs. From the late 1850s onward, Melville's literary reputation waned, and he struggled financially. He turned to teaching and later worked for the U.S. Customs House in New York City, a position he held for nearly 20 years until his retirement. In his later years, Melville wrote poetry, which was not widely recognized until after his death. His verse reflects his profound engagement with themes of mortality, spirituality, and the human condition. Despite the lack of acclaim during his life, Melville remained committed to his art. Death and posthumous recognition. Herman Melville died on September 28, 1891, at the age of 72 in New York City. At the time of his death, he was largely forgotten as a literary figure, overshadowed by other American authors like Nathaniel Hawthorne and Walt Whitman. It was only in the 20th century that Melville's work, especially Moby Dick, underwent a critical revival. Scholars and readers began to appreciate the novel's complexity, innovative narrative style, and profound philosophical depth. Today, Melville is regarded as a towering figure in American literature and a pioneer of the American Renaissance. His influence extends beyond literature into popular culture, film, and philosophy. Moby Dick is studied extensively in universities worldwide, and Melville's life story is often cited as an example of artistic perseverance despite initial rejection. Summary: Herman Melville's life was marked by early adventure and hardship, deep artistic exploration, and a complicated legacy. From the prosperous beginnings of his childhood to the financial struggles of his adult life, his journey shaped his powerful literary voice. His experiences at sea and his encounters with diverse cultures fueled his imaginative and symbolic storytelling. Though he faced rejection and obscurity in his lifetime, Melville's genius was eventually recognized, securing his place as one of the greatest American writers ever.